I don't normally cover music on this channel. I'm mainly movies and Godzilla and everything else in between. So this is kind of out there in the grand scheme of things. However, I cannot stop thinking about the new Avenged Sevenfold album that just came out. It's technically an EP, but they're going to be releasing 2 more songs, and when you add up Magic and the EP and 2 more songs, that's 8 songs. To me, that's an album. This project has been insanely controversial among Avenged Sevenfold fans. I would go as far as to say that it is the most divisive project they've ever released, hands down.
Alright, who is gonna tell me that Avenged Sevenfold dropped music and it's gotta be top 5 worst things I've ever freaking heard? It's genuinely awful. Not only does it not sound like them, but the sound that they're going for is not like even a good version of that sound. Like, who is this record for?
But first, let's give a little bit of context. Avenged Sevenfold was formed in 1999 in California, and they released their first album, Sounding the Seventh Trumpet, which was very much just screaming. A lot of fans are kind of on that project. I'm in the same boat. It's okay. I don't hate it. I can appreciate it for what it is, but I wouldn't go out of my way to listen to this thing constantly. It's okay at best. In 2003, they would release Waking the Fallen, which many consider this to be the start of their god-tier run of albums. Waking the Fallen blended the screaming vocals with more melodic segments throughout, a lot of like the choruses or maybe even the verses. The biggest song off this album is Unholy Confessions. However, my favorite from here would have to be Chapter 4. This album for me was on loop constantly in middle school and high school. I couldn't get enough of it. The same goes though for pretty much every other album in their discography from here on out. City of Evil, very overrated album, I know, hot take, but Beast and the Harlot, Backcountry, Sidewinder, Seize the Day, all certified classics. And then you get my favorite Avenged Sevenfold album from 2007, self-titled. In spite of some of the weirder creative decisions that I really am not a fan of nowadays, when I was in 8th grade, I loved this album. Flaws and all. Bizarre defense of the Iraq War and critical acclaim. The bizarre auto-tune that you can hear in Lost. Bit of foreshadowing there. And even the so-so track that is Unbound. We're all trampled by the masterpieces that are Almost Easy, Afterlife, A Little Piece of Heaven. Oh, I could do a whole video on Little Piece of Heaven by itself. This was the band hitting their stride. Everyone was sort of at their peak at this point in time, and it would be the last album with Jimmy the Rev Sullivan behind the drums, as he would pass away before they could finish Nightmare, their next album. Now, the Rev is going to be someone that we will bring up constantly throughout this video, and a lot of that has to do with this new project. However, just to quickly get through the rest of the albums here, Nightmare had a lot of involvement in writing from the Rev, but it was actually Mike Portnoy on drums. The Rev appears on the song Fiction. You can hear his backing vocals and lead vocals, and sort of throughout, a lot of the demo work was by the Rev on this album. In 2013, the band released Hail to the King, which was very controversial upon its release. Corey Taylor of Slipknot and Stone Sour basically said that they were ripping off the Black Album. He found it to be very redundant, and it was stuff that had been done before by, in his words, better bands. However, this is where we get some of their most popular work, like Hail to the King, Shepherd of Fire, and This Means War. But my favorite off this album is Coming Home. It sounds like an Iron Maiden song through and through, and I just adore it. 3 years after that, the band decided to experiment, and their next album, The Stage, was kind of a departure from what they had done previously. On one hand, you could say they're going back to their roots in a way. There's a lot of dueling guitar solos, especially in that first song. It's a lot heavier. It's less commercial than Hail to the King, but I'd say it's kind of in the same vein as Avenged Sevenfold's self-titled album from 2007. It wouldn't be until around 7 years later when they would release their next album, Life is But a Dream. And boy, oh boy, was this one controversial.
This album sucked. This album sucked big time. Big suckaroony on this thing. God damn.
If The Stage was deemed too experimental by fans, This was just insanity.
So listening to this album, I would say that it is kind of fun to listen to once, but I don't think I will ever listen to like 90% of this album ever again.
There's one song on here that just straight up sounds like a Daft Punk song.
What did they try to achieve with that? I don't know. It's definitely not my interest. I'm never going to come back to this album again. I really doubt it.
The track We Love You is crazy, where it's always changing and always evolving. There's not really a verse, chorus, verse structure to it. It's just a bunch of noise at times. And I love it. Sure, a lot of tracks don't really work all that well for me. Like Mattel is just not great. But songs like Nobody really work. It grew on me, I will say that. It took me multiple listens, especially at the gym, to kind of appreciate it and to go, oh, I see what they're going for here. This actually really works. And around this time, too, Avenged Sevenfold really got into NFTs and AI, and a lot of fans that were still hanging on kind of dropped off at that point. I get that that's a huge generalization of a very wider controversy with the band. I say this as someone who was appreciating the musical direction they were going in. If you're a fan of Avenged Sevenfold, you know that they love Mr. Bungle, a Mike Patton side project that is off the wall insane. Life is But a Dream is very much taking heavy inspiration from Mr. Bungle, and I kind of appreciate that. But it wouldn't be until their latest project that a lot of fans were just like, you know, they jumped the shark. People were saying that this was their Saint Anger era, and I have to agree. Life is But a Dream was at least intense at points and still had themes of being a metal album, as progressive and experimental as it was. Statica just feels like noise. It's like something I would have made when I was 12 years old, screwing around on GarageBand, just hitting random bullshit and then just hitting export. None of it works. And a lot of that has to do with the vocal performance, the lack of guitars, and really the lack of drums and bass guitar. It's like when I listen to Avenged Sevenfold, I want to hear Sinister Gates and Zacky Vengeance playing dueling guitar parts, or at least just guitar parts. In modern Avenged Sevenfold, I want to hear Brooks Wackerman killing it on drums. I mean, listen to the song Higher from The Stage. He's doing an incredible job. It's some of the best drumming I think I've ever heard on a metal album. But this project kind of abandons all that. It honestly hurts to hear this much autotune and vocoder effects on M. Shadow's voice. I get that's the aesthetic that they're going for. They're kind of emulating Kanye West's Yeezus project. But man, it kind of hurts. Because I know partially why they're doing that. Yes, it's the inspiration. But it's also the fact that his voice is going.
Got some discouraging news. Gonna have to postpone the Latin America tour. Got my voice in some sort of trouble. A lot goes into this, but I have to make the responsible decision, and there's just no way I can sing like this, and don't want another surgery, so we're going to take the responsible route here, shut it down for a couple months, and just sorry this had to happen. It just sucks.
They've had to cancel shows because he screwed up his voice. In the early years, he was screaming here and not in his diaphragm, so he's had to have vocal surgery. And you can kind of hear as the albums go on that his voice is not as strong as it once was. And that's fine. I'm not asking him to belt like he used to. The latest Paul McCartney album is incredible. I love how withered and shaky his voice is at times. I just wish that Avenged Sevenfold would kind of embrace this new limitation in the singer's voice being not as intense as it once was. It sounds harsh to say this because I love this band, but this is the worst project that they've ever released so far.
Oh, this is the worst day of my life.
The worst day of your life so far.
It's cool that they're experimenting. It's cool that they're trying new things. I just don't like it. And that seems to be the sentiment of a lot of fans online. So let's sort of dive into the community side of things. First, I want to start with Brian Hayner. If that name sounds familiar, it's because he's guitar guy in Jeff Denham's live shows, but he's also the dad of Sinister Gates, the lead guitarist of Avenged Sevenfold. And I should say too, the band has been almost completely silent about the release of this EP. I think they posted like one thing on their story and that was it. There's hardly been any discussion about it. They've been radio silent for the most part. So the only person close to the band who's really been saying anything is Sinister Gates' dad. Upon seeing the negative reaction to the project, he tweeted the following, quote, "Hilarious. So many butthurt people. It's a band, not a cure for cancer. They are exploring and having fun. Let them. And guess what? The sound they have now will change again. Bring on the polka ska with dual banjos and Matt singing after inhaling helium at the official A7X." And a lot of fans disagreed with his sentiment. It's Big Red on Twitter says, "It's okay to experiment, but it's also okay to experiment and recognize this probably should be deleted and not published." Sinister Gates' dad responded by saying, "Send me your contact info so I can send it to the band. That way they can clear everything they do through you." It's Big Red responded then by saying, "Music is subjective, like you said. In my opinion, subjective as well. I damn well know there's sounds I like that most people don't like. I just personally think it's that bad. They shouldn't have released, and I enjoyed Life is But a Dream." Another person responded to Brian Hayner's initial tweet by saying, "But they wouldn't have become famous with that kind of music 20 years ago. Move Forward is great, but I think they should at least stay true to some of their roots." And Brian Hayner said, "That's not how it works. You bought an album and took it home. End of transaction. You bought a ticket and saw a show. End of transaction. They owe you nothing. If you no longer like them, don't listen and don't buy a ticket." Something I kind of disagree with about that is this isn't really hate. I don't think fans are hating on the band. I think they want the band to just release a good album. Some are being very parasocial about it, though. I will admit that. A lot are bringing up The Rev, who, like I said, passed away in 2009. There's this common sentiment of Avenged Sevenfold died with The Rev. And I disagree. Like I said, Hail to the King was easily their most successful era in terms of just popularity and attention that they were getting. I mean, they had songs that were in Call of Duty. Yes, they had Carry On and Black Ops 2, but semantics aside, Hail to the King did numbers. The stage was so fascinating creatively. That's not me dissing The Rev by any means, by the way. I'm just saying they did interesting things post The Rev, and they did things that were very interesting when The Rev was in the band. To say that the band died with him is very disgusting in my opinion. I honestly think Avenged Sevenfold has done an amazing job celebrating the life of Jimmy the Rev Sullivan. Nightmare was such a loving tribute to him as an artist, as a person, as a friend, and I think that they should be allowed to continue without him. I don't know why we're still bringing this up and making this a point of drama. It doesn't make any sense. I'm not going to speak on whether or not he would have liked this project. A lot of fans are doing that. I'm just saying, I think that the band has been amazing with paying tribute to their fallen band member. But not everyone agrees with me there. This person says, "It's so sad to see what you're doing to the band. Are you guys really going to destroy an entire legacy for the sake of these creations that you swear are good when they're awful?" And I don't even need to go too far back in time, because Life is But a Dream is right there, and I love that album. It was made with real love. I don't want to give off the impression, though, that it was entirely negative. There are defenders of this project. For example, this person says, "I get so sad that people want them to keep playing City of Evil forever. Like, guys, if we grow and mature, and they did that too, imagine limiting yourself musically when you have potential to do so many things. I thought the songs were kind of weird, but they won't get my hate." And then one of the fans that's really into NFTs and the crypto side of the band said, "Guys, wake up, new Avenged Sevenfold. If you hate Statica, you have Avenged Sevenfold derangement syndrome." And even then, a lot of the defenses that people have been giving towards the band feel very backhanded. It's like, "Oh, just let them experiment. You don't want them playing the same thing over and over again." Or some variation of, "You're just haters. Stop hating. Let the band make what they want to make." And I don't think I've heard anyone be like, "Yeah, I like this." I don't know anyone that is wholeheartedly saying this is a good project and I think they should continue in this direction. It's literally just people saying,
Guys, let them be. You're just being mean.
and that's the situation as it is right now. I want to know, what did you think of Statica? Do you hate it? Do you love it? Do you hope the band continues in this direction? Do you hope they go back to their roots? Do you like the experimentation? Do you think the hate is justified? Let me know down below in the comments. With all that out of the way, I'm Cole McCormick. You're watching Firewood Media. If you like what I had to say here, consider subscribing. I'm not exactly a music commentator, music reviewer. I'm just talking about something that I'm really passionate about here in the moment. My entire Instagram feed has been nothing but people talking about this album, so I figured I would do a little bit of research and throw something together.
Eating his ass like an addict. Strung
Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.